Coming to you from Study Studio, aka the Kickback, aka Kickback Palace, aka Kickback. Put your feet up, have a good time. Holler at your boys. We're here for you. Noah, Andrew, podcast episode doesn't matter because we'll figure it out later. Noah and I, this is our third podcast together. Third numero 3. I want to say numero uno so bad right there. Number 3. So welcome, Countercultural Life podcast, talking about the things, how to go countercultural in this life, to be different, to walk a different lifestyle, to go against the grain, to not be a sheep, not be a follower, but to lead audaciously. I like that.
That's a good word.
Audacious. That's off the top of my melon right there. Sweet melon. What? I can't do this with my daughter in the room. She's giving me faces right now. No, I don't know.
This is why, so everyone knows behind the camera, we have the person who was on the last 2 episodes. But I always am looking like down and away because Drew cannot focus if I'm looking at him.
I cannot.
So that's why, like, if you were in my seat looking at me, you would think I was like just so uninterested. And it's really just to keep him from looking at me.
And he does a great job with that because Noah is a symbol of excellence. A symbol. If there was a symbol in the periodic table of excellence, it would be Noah. Believe it or not.
I do my best. I don't know if it's perfect, but
I'm excited about this podcast. Noah has gotten used to the flow here where he doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. Matter of fact, I don't know what I'm going to ask him, but I'm just going to flow with it because I love it. Noah's my guy. It's going to be awesome, even though we just found out we were not linked in.
Yeah, we're not linked.
We're not linked. We're not linked on LinkedIn. So disappointing. But full transparency, I don't use LinkedIn hardly. I just get I look at the emails on LinkedIn for like
your messages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the positions open, the people trying to hire you. I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. Anyway, that's the only reason I look at it. So, but I'm going to make it a point to two things.
I'm never on LinkedIn either, so it's not.
But I got to make it a point. 2 things. I have to buy you a Sonic the Hedgehog shirt, number 1, numero uno, and I have to. How does LinkedIn do I friend request you on LinkedIn?
It's connect.
How do I connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's how LinkedIn works. So.
Because we're still working on a couple things. We are working on getting a sponsorship from Liquid Death, or as I called it earlier, Death Water, which sounds way more ominous, but
yeah,
that's not right. And I know
Liquid Death Water.
Yeah,
Death Wish Coffee. Those are the ones.
Death Wish, are they?
They're not connected.
They're not connected.
But there's a coffee company. There's also a coffee company, Death Wish Coffee.
I did not know.
Fire.
It is. Why is it fire?
This
is from a coffee connoisseur right here. He's a professional in the space.
I have a friend that I trust with coffee stuff, and he says that they have the best. And we had for those coffee people out there, we did an AeroPress with their pumpkin chai coffee beans for around Halloween this last year, and they were incredible. And then I got those as K-Cups, and they were some of the smoothest, best K-Cups I've had. So now I'm a fan. Now I'm a big fan. They're expensive though.
Death Wish. Which one was the smoothest you've ever had?
Death Wish.
What was it?
It was the pumpkin chai. It was just really good for a
pumpkin
K-Cup.
Chai.
For a K-Cup.
Let the record show I will order Death Wish coffee, pumpkin chai, K-Cup. Hope I can find them on Amazon. Now, if we want to stick to that coffee theme just for a second, most delicious cup of coffee I've ever had, Kopi Luwak.
What is that?
It is the coffee, the beans that have been consumed.
Oh, the monkey ones?
It's a feral cat.
Oh, the cat poop ones.
The cat poop one.
There's monkey poop ones. There's cat poop ones.
So I had a friend that purchased some. I think he bought a bag of Kopi Luwak for $250.
Like a regular bag size?
A regular size.
Tag on, bro.
And it was, look, that monkey poop was phenomenal. It was the feral cat, not feral cat, civet cat, I think is what it's called.
I thought it was feral because how are they going to collect the beans?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Wildcat.
Also, why does the type of cat make a difference for how the?
I don't know. Because no, it does make a difference because of the enzymes
Oh,
in
yeah.
the stomach acid. What they do is they eat the beans, they poop them out. The beans are collected. Now, some young person out there, or maybe not a young person, maybe there's some old dude or old lady out there picking beans out of cat poop. But
It's got to be an old lady.
But here's the thing.
You're not finding anybody my age. There's not a lot of people my age that are willing to go work.
I don't know
in the cat poop fields.
I don't know. Maybe you have a poor law school person that can't.
Do you know where it was from? What country it was from? So this is like, I don't know if do you like look at where your beans are from?
Yes.
I do not like South American beans in general. I don't like beans from South America. I prefer middle of Africa.
Ethiopia.
Yeah, Ethiopia type.
Stuff. Yeah.
Or Central America.
Okay.
So if I was to answer what I think the best cup of coffee I ever had was in Honduras on a mission trip. We were out in the middle of nowhere on we always had one day at the end where we'd like go do something cool.
Yeah.
And we were off in the middle of nowhere. There was this cocoa bean place that made coffee like straight off the tree basically. And it was pretty amazing. So and I was like 14.
Honduras blend.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Honduran coffee is really good. There's a coffee shop locally here. There's a coffee shop my fiance works at that they do Honduran coffee. It's really good.
I got to check the Honduran coffee out now. And the Death Wish pumpkin chai. I will purchase that this evening along with a Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. I will find these two items and I will make sure that I have them. But if I can find, there was a place downtown Knoxville, coffee shop, and I don't think it's still there anymore, that actually served Kopi Luwak, and it was like $20 a cup.
Wow.
And
I would pay that though. I'd pay that to try it once. If it's actually that good, I'd feel really scammed if it wasn't like that much better.
It was delicious.
Did you have it? You had it black though, right?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I didn't know. You don't cut that coffee with anything. You
don't
put anything in there.
I don't really like black coffee, but you can't. If you can't judge a coffee by the merits of it black, then you shouldn't be judging coffee. I feel like if you can't drink black coffee, you can't have an opinion on coffee.
That's true.
I don't know if that's a crazy take. I don't really drink black coffee that much unless I have to. But if you are like, I will not drink it black, then just don't give your coffee take. Because then you're going to say Dunkin's your favorite coffee place, and I'm going to lose respect for you.
Here's the thing. Well, it's Starbucks too. Starbucks has the cheapest beans, don't they? Is it not?
Starbucks is trash.
Is it not burnt beans or something? I've heard that, but you can't tell because it's overly sweetened coffee. There was one drink from Starbucks I loved, and if Jada could be heard on the microphone, she would know that I described it as bacon and eggs. It was a delicious cup of coffee, and it was the oleato, which was olive oil, some fancy olive oil.
Wow. Okay. So interestingly enough,
tell me more.
That ruined Starbucks. That like almost ruined Starbucks.
Really?
Because you're like one of the only people in the world that liked it, and it was a flop. It was a total flop, and that was why they fired the CEO. Was because of that.
They
already fired the CEO, and they hired Chipotle's CEO.
Because of oleato?
So it was really expensive, and it cost a lot of training. There was a lot of training with it because you had to make it differently. So it was a lot of training, and then didn't have anything back. So that was kind of his plan to save Starbucks, because that was their foray into kind of like more expensive, nicer coffee. But it just didn't hit right, and people thought it was gross, and it got returned a lot. So that was like the last straw for the Starbucks CEO, and then he got fired.
I was the only person in Knoxville buying this coffee. Every time that I went, I thought it was the most delicious coffee I'd ever had. Now,
you need to do MCT oil.
I do. I've done
MCT oil. That used to be every day. I would wake up in the morning. I'd do a cup of coffee, heavy cream, MCT oil. That's good fat. But it was something about. I don't know why people found it disgusting. Maybe just because they weren't expecting that from Starbucks. But there was two bonuses for me. So olive oil is very good for you. Yeah.
So you had that, and then the taste of it had this refreshing like bacon. I call bacon and eggs.
So it tasted like bacon grease?
No, it didn't taste like.
That's not a bad thing. Bacon grease is delicious. What are you talking about?
But it was delicious, and now that I know.
No, you can like it. You can like something that nobody else likes. I just thought it was crazy.
I don't know why they got rid of this. It was my favorite. What did they do with it?
But now, as Paul Harvey used to say, you don't know who Paul Harvey is, but now we know the rest of the story. I did not
There you
know.
go. It's a little bit of a business story for you.
I did not know that I got him fired. It was me. I got him fired.
Well, no.
because I love
You
Oleate.
gave him hope.
I gave him hope.
So, but no, I mean, well, he was on the way out for a while. I mean, he hadn't been.
Yeah.
Starbucks is struggling.
Is it really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not. There's too many competitors.
Mm.
You got 7 Brew,
Mm-hmm.
Dutch Bros, which is my favorite fast coffee, local mom and pop. The protests of Starbucks, which we don't need to get into, but people don't like Starbucks for various reasons. It feels like people on both sides of the aisle don't like Starbucks for this reason or that.
Yep.
And then, so I mean, they're just too. They lost the vision. If you go back and look at what Starbucks' original vision was, it really feels like they've lost that. So
that is a leadership concept that we can talk about. But before we go to lost the vision, what is the Starbucks symbol? What is the mermaid? What is it? I've always wondered that, and I think I've looked.
It's just a mermaid, right?
It is just a mermaid, but it was named after, I believe, in the book Moby Dick. Starbuck is a character, and that's where they got the name from.
I believe that to be true, but
did you know that?
That's why we need a live fact checker.
We need a live fact checker.
So
interestingly enough, I got to go into the leadership concept right there because young Noah, warrior assassin that he is, called it. They lost the vision. Anytime you lose the vision, you get out of alignment with where you intended on going. Vision, what do they say? Vision fades and culture drifts. So anytime, if you don't keep the vision front and center of why you're doing what you're doing, you will lose it and you'll go, and now you'll see what's happening to them. That's very interesting. So
that's something that's happening a lot in the business world right now is people kind of losing the plot. And, I mean, I think that there's a lot of companies not doing as well right now, and a lot of companies blaming COVID for things that aren't COVID's fault.
Right.
A lot of politicians blaming things on COVID that's not COVID's fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not even going to get started on that. I could talk for an hour and a half about this last election cycle and how everyone blamed COVID for everything. But I'm not going to. I feel like anyone that has half a brain could see through that. But
this is where we're going. I have so many thoughts. So COVID was, people have said, you're the leadership guy, you're a leadership expert, blah, 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 all those blah, blah, blah statements. I don't care. I work really hard to try to figure out leadership. That's all it does. And leaders, all I do is I put good teams around me. That's what really good leaders do. They put great people around them. That's all. So anyway, that's leadership in a nutshell. Hardest time I've ever led through was COVID. Yeah. Because there was no way to make decisions. It was very difficult. And I led a church through COVID, which was the hardest place to lead through COVID, because we had the faith, not fear people. We had how it affected different demographics of people. And we were a very diverse church at the time. So leading through COVID was the hardest thing I've ever done, because first of all, nobody knew what to do. Like I remember turning on one time, I was turning on like C-SPAN or something and watched all the politicians arguing over what decision they should make, because no one knew. And it was very difficult. But yeah, then people use it as an excuse to blame on everything for the next 3 years, is what people have done. So yeah. So anyway, what are your thoughts on you said you had some thoughts on COVID. What were your thoughts on
Oh, well, I mean, I think that things like the economy and, both sides taking credit for different statistics that happened. Yeah. For 2 different examples, like one on each side. Trump loves to take credit for gas prices when he left office. He loves to take credit for how gas prices were. But gas prices went down because there was no one had needed gas. So gas prices went down. So when people were buying gas cans and had that. So there was an outside factor. Yep. Not that Trump potentially didn't bring gas prices down, but so then though you talk about Biden talking about how he was handed a horrible economy. Well, why? Because of COVID. Because gas prices going down is actually kind of, hate to break it to everybody, it's kind of a bad thing for the overall economy. Yeah. Unless what happened recently happens, which is why we have cheap gas prices when we're recording this. We have cheaper gas prices because of some good international trading that we did.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that was just really annoying when people would reference the end of Trump's first term and beginning of Biden's term. I think both sides like to use that period of time and cherry pick out things, which is what all politicians do, is cherry pick. But every time I was watching a debate, I would just get frustrated. I was like, that's COVID. You're blaming the other person for COVID, which you can't. I mean, I think that one of the things that this is you tricked me into talking about politics on the podcast.
That's why I'm an expert.
One of the things that Trump does, one of Trump's worst qualities, in my opinion, is his inability to take accountability, which I think would humanize him. I think that the people that love him will not be turned off by the fact that he took accountability for something, and the people that are in the middle of like they don't like him, and that's part of why.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know it's part of his character, like his persona is this, I can do no wrong. I can only fix things that weren't really my fault. But if he just said, I don't really know what's going on, let's talk to an expert. Spoiler alert, he fired all the experts, which is crazy. It's honestly kind of sad, because before they fired them, it was kind of like, why do we need these people that are just watching out for an invisible thing? And then it happened under the term that fired them, which is so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, not funny that people died, but
no, but I mean, we know that. But here's the thing on that whole. I watched a podcast recently, Flagrant, and the podcast is called Flagrant, and they had Trump on, and it was based off of the stats that they released. It was the most middle of the road response that they'd ever seen. They thought they were either going to piss off one side, but it was a very similar response on both sides. Like both sides loved it. And I watched it, and it was a good podcast. And I think that what was interesting in that one is I think he had the ability, or he looked more human in that one, which was strange, because take a look at it when you get a chance on Flagrant. It's Trump on Flagrant. And I thought it was an interesting podcast. And the response from it was very interesting too. So but you're right. I mean,
I'm excited for this next era of politics, because Trump, nope, just whacked the microphone. Trump did what needed to be done, which was talk directly to the American people, not with anyone else in between him, which is podcasts, which is, that's what podcasts are.
Yeah.
So I think that from now on, every single politician is going to need to be able to have a 3-hour conversation with someone. It doesn't have to be Joe Rogan necessarily, but it's probably going to be Joe Rogan for the foreseeable future.
I'm going to get it. I can ask better questions. I'm telling you. I'm
Than Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
I agree. But there's just something about him. He's just got that aura but I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I get it. I agree with that.
If Kamala, I think that most people, looking back on this election, know that she wasn't the candidate that they needed.
Yeah.
But she didn't get elected. She was handed a nomination, which is, and for those people that are listening to this and don't know me politically, I'm very center of the road, both sides. We are. So this is all kind of, anything I say negative about either side is from a academic standpoint, from a studious observation standpoint. But I mean, it was just I don't know how anyone expected her to win, honestly, with not getting a nomination and not being able to talk for longer than 30 minutes, an hour, and obviously she had so many campaign issues with the people running them, but it's interesting. It'll be good in the future. I think in the future, we're going to have to get more honest politicians,
right?
Because they're going to have to sit down and be people don't want to debate with talking points,
right?
Kamala won the debate.
Yeah.
Trump blew her out in the country. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think anyone thinks Kamala didn't win the debate.
I think what I learned from that, and we could bring that back into the leadership space, is this: understanding the moment. You have to understand the moment. There was a couple key elements of when you saw, and like Noah said, I am very independent, very middle of the line. I vote according to my values. That's a whole different conversation. But I'm very middle of the line, and I look and try to use the lost art form of critical thinking.
It is a lost art form.
That's what we need to do more of.
Critical thinking and media literacy.
Absolutely. Critical thinking and media literacy, understanding echo chambers and algorithms. Dig into that a little bit and you'll learn about yourself. Anyway, so there was a moment. Of course, there was the attempted assassination. And in the moment, he owned the moment. That you can. I mean,
as one of the coolest. It's one of the coolest pictures ever. Like in the history of the United States, it's up there. It's an iconic. It's going to be an iconic picture.
It will be there. It will be in the history books. That was owning the moment, like understanding the moment and owning the moment. And right when I saw that happen, I turned to whoever I can't remember who I was talking to, but I said, he won right there.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
He won right there.
Because he did everything he could to shoot himself in the foot over the next
exactly
over the next however many months to try to lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, but anyway, yeah, continue. But yeah, I mean.
But then there was the moment with Kamala.
Oof.
When they're chanting her name, Kamala, and she's got 50, 60,000 people chanting her name. And she does something. I get it. I understand what she was trying to do, but she killed the moment and had everybody going like, what was happening right there? When she goes, no, stop saying my name. Say your name. And it just, you just heard the crowd was like this whole, huh? Robert, like they couldn't do it because as leaders, you have to understand the moment and own the moment. And sometimes there are going to be moments that are just put in your hand. And those were two moments, very crazy moments. One horrible moment could have been a lot more horrible, but the person understood the moment. And then the other person didn't understand the moment. And it's like, that's what you have to, like, knowing these things are key. Like, you could have had, that would have been an iconic moment for her with the crowd chanting her name. She could build off of that. She could go somewhere with that, but then she just killed it. Trying to, quote unquote, do the right thing, maybe trying to do the more personable thing, but at the same time, just not understanding the levity of the moment. So, yeah, I got you talking about politics. You didn't even know it. Smooth as they come. All right, let's go. So, what do you think? So I don't know if I heard you say this. Was it you that said this? That if Trump changes the 2-term policy, that it will be the best political.
Oh, okay. So
there we go.
I was joking. This is a joke, but people are like really afraid that Trump is gonna like somehow make it so he can run again.
Yeah.
Due to things that he said that I think were taken out of context. But so hypothetically, if Trump does that, that means that in 2028. We are running Donald Trump against Barack Obama, which would be which is crazy for two reasons. One, Obama is so much younger than him.
Yeah, Trump will be 112
Trump will be like
by then,
so old.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see a pretty rapid mental decline from Trump in the next 4 years. I mean, he's just been running. He's just been going. I can't imagine that this has been. I mean, I know he's been going his whole life, but this has probably been the most stressful years of his life. There's no way being president isn't more stressful than even running an empire.
Why is his hair not grayed?
Man, why? Have you seen Elon Musk's hair when he was in like early 20s? They got that. They can fix that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that looking on an outside point of view, Trump has effectively established the next 12 years of candidates in a way. He is pretty much, so in 2028 it'll be JD Vance. He wins. In 2032 it'll be JD Vance. He wins whoever his VP, which will probably be Vivek Ramaswamy, if I had to guess. Which I'm a big fan of him as a person. I think he's a smart guy.
You think it's going to be Elon Musk 2028?
He can't. He's born in South Africa. Thank God. That's terrifying to me. I used to look up to Elon Musk a lot, but I think he's gotten distracted.
So I can speak on Elon Musk a little bit. So fantastic brain, horrible leader. Horrible.
Does not understand what make people tick.
Absolutely not.
And he's lucked his way into some pretty amazing situations that have gotten him to where he is because he's a visionary. He's an ideas guy.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast on my way here talking about ideas guys versus doers.
Yeah.
You know, Elon Musk is an ideas guy who has gotten really lucky with some really great doers that he has been able to backtrack on. But he is super smart. I'm not going to take that away from him.
No.
The disaster at X the Everything app / Twitter should be studied.
Yeah.
And what's the scary thing is, going back into business, Elon Musk is setting trends in the business world
Yep.
where they saw that he was able to fire 80% of the staff at Twitter and then run the company. It's still running. It's
Yep.
still running. And that's like, and every tech company is like, oh, what do we need 80%? You could probably shed 10. You could probably shed 10%.
Yeah.
But is Twitter a good user experience right now?
No.
Absolutely not. Is it making money? It's still not making money. I
Yep.
mean, it wasn't making money then. I mean, Twitter was a disaster before him, but I'm like, that's a whole nother, that would be an interesting court case to talk about. Was the acquisition of Twitter, because if everything he says is true. Anyway, besides the point. But a lot of other
now
tech
what happens
companies.
if he buys more media outlets? Because that's a rumor. That's a thought of him buying media outlets. Then what happens? Is it
okay?
Is it really more free speech, or is it more control? What is it?
This is why the one person in government that I will openly say that I like really, is Lena Khan, who was the FTC chair. And I think that she has done a really good job. I don't agree with everything she's done, but I think that CEOs of mega corporations are scared of her. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I believe in small government, but I also think that like with the way that we've progressed as a country, that being able to say that we should have a free market that can't be bought out is important. I think
Yep.
we should have a fair market that can't just be bought by other interests, people that have a vested interest in controlling the narrative.
Yep.
Cough, cough, BlackRock, cough, cough.
Yep.
And that I think that before, if Lena Khan was still going to be the chair of the FTC, I would not be worried about it, because there's no way that she would let it happen. But even like a big acquisition that just got blocked, which was Albertsons and Kroger, two grocery stores, it's bad. Like anyone that thinks that monopolies are good just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense why you think that less competition is good, because what are they going to do? All those grocery stores, because there are some towns that have an Albertsons and a Kroger in it.
Mm-hmm.
There are towns with just those two. So what are they going to do? They're going to have, both of them can raise prices. Both of them can lower pay. It's not good. So I think that Elon Musk might, I think it's bad. I think it's bad if he buys more quote unquote media outlets.
Yeah.
I think that it was pretty clear to see. I think it was weird for him to be so biased in this election, but it's setting a trend that the Trump presidency will be one. I feel this is not financial advice, but if you wanted to get into stocks, tech stocks, now's the time, because it's going to be good for tech CEOs. You see Mark Zuckerberg going to Mar-a-Lago and stuff. So, I mean, he will be in office when this episode airs, but
yeah,
that we'll see. Well, it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be an interesting 4 years. It's going to be interesting to see what Trump does. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Democratic Party does, because they have to make some changes, because people my age are disappointed in them. I see people that are my really liberal friends that did not feel good about this election. And they gotta make some changes.
Clarify that. Did not feel good about the Democratic Party during this election, how they handled themselves.
It's so weird, because if you talk to any if you talk to any conservative, they will tell you that, or like someone that was a Democrat and switched to conservative, right? They will tell you that that like the crazy liberals, like that they've gone crazy, they just think all these things and it's just wild. And a lot of young liberal people are like, why are you just like lame Republicans?
Yeah.
And really what's dividing them is the social issues that at the end of the day, no one cares about. You might care about it, but at the end of the day, what changed this election, what everyone on the exit polls said was their biggest issues is putting food on the table.
Yep.
Making money, putting food on the table. Inflation, which is hate to break it to you, is a global issue that will not be getting solved anytime soon.
Nope.
But yeah, it's going to be crazy. I've learned more about. I've always been interested in politics, but I've learned a lot in the last couple months, and it's going to be an interesting couple years.
So as a young 20-something-year-old, what keeps you up at night in regards? What makes you worried?
Worried about what?
In regards to the state of our country, what makes you worried? And in the world, let's go country first, then world. 2-part question. Country first. What concerns you about America, and then let's go world second.
I think that the thing that would concern me the most in America is I think it's both sides of this issue. The thing that would concern me the most is people my age getting jobs. Because I think that there's two narratives. One, that we're asking for too much, when there are statistics that will show that like house prices have not increased with wages, which is bad. That's a bad thing. Not because wages should increase, but because house prices should not be able to go up. And there's a very, very simple way to fix that, but then nobody wants to do it.
What is that way?
You ban private corporations from being able to own X amount of the housing market. So you'd say BlackRock, you can only own X amount of houses. Everybody can only own X amount. Do you have to deal with shell corporations and all that? Yes, but it's a start. That's the start to bringing housing prices down, because they're artificially inflated. Same way we just talked about like grocery stores. If I have two grocery stores and if I own both of them in the same town and there's no other, I can make the prices whatever I want because people need that.
Yep.
There's a higher rate until another grocery store comes and makes less profit. So that's the same thing with houses. So if you ban private, in my opinion, if you ban private companies from doing that, they have to sell off.
Right.
And like other people like own the assets, then that will help.
So that's the first thing is jobs and wages.
Well, yes, but I think that there's two narratives. One, that I do think that people my age are asking for a lot when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I think that it's easy to get really disillusioned with hard work and think that, like, I think that is an issue with hard work with my generation. I don't think that's not true. But I also think on the other side that there are people that are like, everyone my age is just lazy and doesn't want to work. Some people do want to work, but maybe they're not going to do what someone 20 years ago would do.
Yeah. So in my spaces that I operate in, people always ask me a lot to talk about the generational gaps and how much of a problem it is, and boomers and Gen X and millennials and Gen Z. Like, there's so many. Here's what the research says. The research says there's really not that much of a gap, and it's sensationalized by the media. So it's hyper sensationalized by the media, and people have bought into the narrative. There are people in every generation who are lazy and who don't want to work. Gen Z and millennials, to an extent, get the biggest black eye from it, and then they get lumped in, and there's a huge generalization made that all are like this, and that's simply not true. So the research would say, I'm looking at the camera, the research would say that there's not as big a gap as people think. And we have used that as an excuse to demonize groups of people. So I would 100% agree. There are people in your generation that are hard workers, and there is a mindset and an element of your generation that's like, that wants too much, that expects too much. Like, one of the things that I've dealt with out of millennials and some Gen Z folks are, they want to be the CEO in 8 months. Like, I want to say, bro, it doesn't work like that. It takes years to do that. But if they're not making an impact, which that is a key thing about the younger generations, the why and the impact is important to them, the impact they're making. But what they don't understand is it takes time to make an impact, and you can't make an impact as fast as you want. But I would say that's the microwave mentality that we've created with social media, and thinking that you can make an impact really quickly, and you sometimes just can't. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
That would be, so I think that's like the big issue there, is just figuring that out. Like, I don't think I have all the solutions to that, but figuring out, how to make my generation happy, because we need to be happy. We need to be fulfilled. Yeah. Because we need to have kids. Because we're not at the rate that we need to be. So, I think what the birth rate needs to be at like 2.4%. We're at like 1.8, 1.9, and it's all Mormons. So just kidding. Yeah. But anyway, and then for the world, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's just I think if the world just acknowledged that the world is dealing with issues, then I think that it's helpful. But it's something that's really hard. Like, everyone's kind of caught up in their own thing. But if you're getting scared, if you're an American and you're scared of our situation, if you're scared, let's just say that if you're scared that Donald Trump got elected, look around the world and see that every single incumbent party lost across almost the entire world, that every single leader's popularity is down. Justin Trudeau is about to get knocked out of Canada. France switched parties. The UK switched parties. South Korea is about to switch parties at time of recording. It's a global issue. Inflation is a global issue. And just be glad that you are blessed to be American, because we honestly don't have it that bad. If you look at the world, we do not have it that bad.
Let's go even crazier right now. Let's go into TikTok.
We do need to wrap it up quick.
Here's the thing. So understanding the algorithms are very important. I believe that our adversaries are playing the long game with America. People have, and my young friend Noah made this. I don't know how he's going to view this, what I'm about to say, so I'm just going to say it. I believe that the TikTok algorithm is designed to create a mindset of a generation of people that have lost faith in their country. I believe that algorithm is being tweaked and manipulated, and that's why the move has been to ban it, because there's the algorithm that is pushing people. You're starting to develop the mindset of people that are heavily involved in TikTok and always on TikTok. I've seen it. I've experienced it out of some of these people that I'm talking about, where they have a perception of America being a horrible nation. Like almost, and you hear a lot of them talking about, well, I just don't want to live here. I can't believe it's that bad. When you look at the overall, because Noah just said, if you look across the world, we're still the country that everybody wants to come to. We're still the most philanthropic country out there. We still have the best universities and educational system that people are trying to get to. We're still the team that people want to be on.
We have the best currency too.
We have the best, even though it's a fiat currency. That's so dumb. We do have the best currency. So it's not as bad as I believe the algorithm that's designed to shape it and make us think it's bad. It's not that bad. So that's just my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts?
I think that this is probably different from you because you were in the military, but I think that every generation has had a big chunk of people that are disillusioned with America.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like a new thing. I think the thing that's new is that you're seeing it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you would, back in the day, you would be a teenager. You'd say, I hate this country. I want to move to Europe, whatever. You'd go be a hippie, claim peace. And then you'd get older and you would mature. And then no one ever heard about that though.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing like people my age like, okay, well, I'm going to make a TikTok about how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a podcast about how I feel.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of is like broadcasting their opinions for an extended period of time. And I would say that it's TikTok doing that, but I think it isn't even, I don't think that it's interference from another country. I don't think TikTok is nefarious. I just think that it's an echo chamber, which I think my conspiracy theory for the week, I've already done my favorite, but my conspiracy theory for the week is that Instagram gives you things that it knows you will disagree with in hopes of driving engagement and comments on posts. So that's why when you open the comments on Instagram, it's always hate.
Yeah.
Because it's feeding you stuff that knows you won't like.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that it's more of just like even just mainstream media, like they really benefit from us being separated, from us being torn apart, from ripping families apart due to which candidate you support. And there's really not a space for being in the middle. It's like, who do you claim? Which leader do you claim? And I'll tell you right now, I claim Jesus. So there we go.
Well, interesting to end on that note, but I can't end on that note because he said something that's very key. Social media and the world that we live in is aimed at division.
Mainstream media too.
Mainstream media aimed at division. If you look at the Latin for devil is diabolos, which you've heard Diablo. That's where the name Diablo comes from. But diabolos is the Latin translation of devil, diabolos. It means to divide or separate. So anytime that you are operating in a spirit of division, you are operating in a demonic spirit. That is why we will always support Jesus on this podcast, and we will always stand for Jesus. So, anyway.
Which is also what C.S. Lewis, his ideal of hell, like what he thought hell would be like, was you having everything in the world that you could have, but not being able to be, but being like farther away.
Yep.
So people have their kingdoms of stuff, and it just makes it farther and farther away from everyone else.
Yep.
So
shout out in the podcast. Shut us. I mean, Noah's going out of town. Maybe coming back. We don't know. We're still going to be doing this. We're going to figure out how to do it. Close us out. Wrap this podcast up coming into this next season.
Yeah. Shout out the Denver Broncos.
Shout out the Denver Broncos.
That's
and a massive congratulations to Noah, who just became engaged to his fiance. What's her name? You say her name?
Reagan.
Oh, we're not saying last names because we don't want people stalking her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Noah and Reagan.
if you know my last name, you'll know hers soon enough. So, to be
Shoot.
fair,
I've
that's
given it
fine.
away. We're not going to tell you where he lives, though. He lives in a mansion down by the lake. Go look for it. Noah, Reagan, marriage this year.
And longest episode ever.
Date?
Shout out.
Date? What's
Date?
the date?
We don't have a date yet.
Is it this year? 2025?
Yeah, it'll be 2025.
2025.
For sure.
Shout out Noah, Reagan.
Better be.
What's their name? Like they had Bradgelina. What's
Bradgelina.
Nagin? Nogan. Shout out. All right. Love you, my boy. It's going to be good. Good stuff. Podcast out. Countercultural.
Study Studio, the Kickback.
Yes. Study
Studio
Studio.
Palace.
Here at the Kickback Palace. Holler at your boys. Peace. 2025.